Welcome back, Dice fans. We are here with our continued coverage of the 2019 Dice Masters National Championship being held at Origins Game Fair. It's me, Ross, from the Weekly Dice Arena, gonna be your master of ceremonies here. We're jumping into round 3 of Swiss between two aces of the game, very experienced players. We've got Lucan versus Michaela in this Swiss round 3. Let's see what they're bringing to the table. Lucan's team first. I open it up and I immediately sort of know what's going on. We've got Hawk Girl, we've got Kate Bishop, we've got the Mask Fixer, the Atom, the Green Lantern, and Energy Field, which to me screams Green Lantern Justice League Lantern Ring on legs. Which, let me break that down for some of you who don't know what I'm talking about. The cornerstone of this team is going to be Green Lantern. It says, while Green Lantern's active, the rest of your Justice League character dice gain. When this character attacks, deal 1 damage to target a player for each energy symbol in your reserve that matches that character die's energy type. Now, energy type, very important on this team. As you may have guessed, it's going to be masks. So we have a 2-cost mask Justice League here. We've got a 5-cost mask Justice League character here. That's going to be where that damage comes from. We've got a 4-cost Justice League Fist, but we have other plans for him here in just a second. So what's going to happen is going to be a lot of Justice League characters out. They're all going to be attacking and dealing direct damage. Then, with all of those masks that are left over in Lucan's reserve pool, he's going to be using the Energy Field Global to spin down and up his Atom as many times as possible, dealing 2 damage to the opponent every time. Now, if all of the pieces land in the field at the same time and this fires off, it could be a 1-turn kill easily. I will say that being there and knowing how dice games are, that could be harder than it might seem. But the Billy Club Fixer is going to help us get there with more masks. Kate Bishop is going to be there with her global to keep the Hawk Girls in the field when needed and to keep that Green Lantern in the field when needed. There's also Atlas for a little bit of bag management, and Clayface, really great at buying tons of small characters. I can't wait to see how this pans out from a pilot better than me. I tried to run something similar in the 10 sets, 10 cards format earlier in the week, but Lucan is more polished and a better player, period. I cannot wait to see what he does with this team. Let's see what Michaela's bringing to the other side of the table. Opens the door. We've got another Kate Bishop for the global, I assume. Black Widow for a little damage mitigation, a little control from Shriek. And the damage card here. Tabaxi Rogue, when active, when the opponent draws a die outside of their clear and draw step, Tabaxi Rogue will deal that opponent 1 damage. So, the idea here, I imagine, is to get Tabaxi Rogue out and then require, with Instant War, your opponent to draw dice and deal them damage. That being said, once those sidekicks are in the field that you have been forced to draw and field, Michaela's using rigorous training to make sure her sidekicks are much better than Lucan's once they get there, have a little staying power. We've got Thor for some discount, Resurrection for a little bag management, and Churn. Professor X also going to thin the bag by taking sidekicks out of the used pile. Green Devil Mask, just in case things get wild on the other side and need to bust up a big field. She's got a lot of bases covered here. Pretty excited to see how this works out. We've seen both of these teams sort of talked about in the depths of some social media outlets, and I have yet to see them face off against each other, so I'm super excited that I get to watch two great pilots take on the challenge. We're going to move into the game. Best of luck to both players. I know it's going to be great. Let's take a peek. Looks like Lucan's going to be going first here. Going to reroll 2 of those dice. Look at those beautiful golden dice. The participation prize for Nationals this year. Buys a Shriek first. Never a bad idea. Michaela up next. Has a mixture of three different color sidekicks, maybe even more. We've only seen 4 and we've seen 3 colors thus far. Things are going to get wild. But for now, She is thinking about her reroll. Mask, Bolt, Fist, Mask. We know masks are good in terms of the Clayface Global. Also in terms of the Professor X Global. Looks like she goes straight for her puncher, which is Tabaxi Rogue. Over to Lucan. Rolls his 4 sidekicks. 3 question marks. What a awesome roll. Lots of flexibility. Could really purchase anything on his team other than Atlas and Clayface. Gonna Clayface the Shriek in on double energy and then have enough to get an Atom and Atlas Global to ensure those 5 dice, the Atom plus 4 sidekicks, come out next turn. Super fast. Great bag management. Michaela gonna spend 1 energy to field a sidekick from her use pile. Trying to figure out if there is any sort of outlet to spend a single mask on. There's no Create Food and Water Global. There's no real use for it currently. Gonna ditch that, begin her turn. Draws 4. One of them has escaped us. Bolt, Mask, question mark, Bolt. I'm not sure what direction she could lean towards next. I know the Bolt's going to be important for the Thor Global. Buying an Instant War for 2 less or a Green Devil Mask for 2 less seems pretty good. Lucan's already bought 2 characters, so Green Devil Mask is halfway there. Also, in terms of Instant War, you can force your opponent to have 4 characters in the field a pretty high percentage of the time, especially if they have 1 or 2 or 3 already hanging out in the field. You play Instant War. Both of you are forced to draw 3 dice and field any sidekicks that are drawn, which would then trigger the Green Devil Mask. Such a naughty, dirty combo. It's a lot of forcing your opponent to do things, which we know in this game is very strong. Anytime you can dictate the decisions your opponent's going to make, it's going to be a rough day for them. Deep in thought, Michaela with her 4 energy. I think really just because there's so many options. Tabaxi Rogue has been bought. There's a lot of bag management globals out there, so, you know, could forego a whole turn for bag management. It does look like she uses Thor Global. Pays 2 for Green Devil Mask and 1 to resurrect, 1 to her prep area. Here's the 5 dice. We knew that Lucan was going to be rolling this turn. He does not get his Atom the first time, but he is keeping his mask and question mark just in case he does. Unfortunately, he does not. Displeased with that sort of thing. Of course, the idea here was field the Atom and begin spinning him up and down, dealing damage. Things escalate very quickly when you get an Atom on level 2 or level 3. Especially with no field, you know, even just spinning the Atom up 5 or 6 times, plus attacking with him, is pretty close to lethal. Five energy to spend, though. Nothing to scoff at. He could also spin his sidekick in the field down to a mask with the Billy Club Global. He does have a Shriek in his use pile, which could be used for Clayface. Gonna spend 5 on Green Lantern. Atlas Globals preps an additional die for next turn. We'll be rolling 5. Michaela's turn. Her 5 dice. Green Devil Mask and Tabaxi Rogue have rolled. Fist Mask is the other energies. Uses the Fixer Global to remove her sidekick, get an extra mask, and buys an Instant War. So again, the forcing her opponent to do things has begun. Sort of the foundational piece is Tabaxi Rogue. Green Devil Mask makes it extra pesky and annoying. And then the Instant War is the actual force your opponent trigger. Unfortunate for Lucan here, does not get his Shriek to roll, which I assume he would blank Tabaxi Rogue with. but that is a non-discussion since it came up single bolt. He did get his Atom to roll, which is going to allow the damage to begin. Also bought a Hawk Girl. In essence, you need a 2-cost mask on this team so that you can do just what Lucan did. He paid 1 mask to turn it into 2 masks, which he will then spin the Atom down and up twice to deal 4 damage to Michaela, and first blood has been taken. Dun, 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 dun. Over to Michaela's turn. 4 sidekicks out of the bag. Yeah, Instant War would have been probably the best pick here, because 3 sidekicks could have very well come out of Lucan's bag and made his field be re-rolled. 2 sidekicks here from Michaela, not really what she'd like. You can only spend one of those down with the Fixer Global. Looks like I'm going to use sort of the same tactic as her first Green Devil Mask. Use the Thor Global to make it 2 less. Over to Lucan's turn. He gets his Green Lantern and tons of masks. Now, the question marks do not count for the attacking Green Lantern ability. But I think at this point in the game, he's just thinking about simply spinning to win. Gonna Clayface in 2 masks from that Hawk Girl again. Already pulling her own weight as a 2-cost. Now, the sort of nuanced piece of Lucan's team is he can attack like this, deal the 2 damage. Then he can use the question mark and Kate Bishop's global to bring Green Lantern back. And then use the 2 masks, which just happened to hit the opponent for 4 more. Pretty wild. And again, when it works, it works. I mean, that was a 6 damage turn or so with no detriment to his field or anything like that. Keeping 1 question mark in his reserve here just in case things get out of control in terms of him having to re-roll his field or something. Speaking of, Michaela pulls Instant War. That is the blue action here. Pulls Instant War on its burst face, which means both players will be forced to draw 3 dice and field any sidekicks they draw, which if Lucan pulls 3 sidekicks, he will have to re-roll his entire field, which is going to be a little crushing in terms of just having got that set up. Sidekick is fielded. Still energies to use here. Bought another Instant War with the Thor Global. Will activate Instant War, both players drawing 3. Lucan's already drawn 2 sidekicks, so the Green Devil Mask is going to trigger. None of them come back. Super unfortunate. Which means there is no field for Lucan. Now, this is one of the reasons he kept this question mark in his reserve, was to either create a sidekick like he just did, or use the Kate Bishop Global to return something to the field of Michaela's. That rigorous training coming in handy already for Michaela. Her sidekicks are 1/2s. Lucan's are only 1/1s. We know how that fight goes. Over to Lucan's turn. He's going to be trying to rebuild. The unfortunate part was that he had to refill his bag in order to use Instant War, which then kept all of his characters that got rolled out of the field into his use pile afterwards. That is extra crushing. We just saw Michaela tick down Lucan's score to 17 because of that Instant War. Lucan drew 3 dice, which, thanks to Tabaxi Rogue, equates to 3 damage. The visual cues are strong here. So Lucan in a little bit of hot water here in terms of board state. He definitely built it up to something he really liked, and then it all got rolled out by the Green Devil Mask. But Michaela's not really in any sort of place to push a huge amount of damage. Her team is definitely more about pinging and just 1,000 paper cuts to death until it's time to let loose. There's the Shriek for Lucan. He does roll it on character face, which is going to be an interesting choice. He's going to Shriek the Tabaxi Rogue so that those instant wars do not equate to damage anymore. Again, thanks to Reg for the tokens in the community. He's made a lot of them and distributed them essentially for free. I mean, for the time and effort he has put into those. Lucan trying to decide what he's going to do with these other two energy. Nothing super productive. He does spin his sidekick down to a mask, which is a more productive energy type for the things he has on his team. He'll pay those two to Atlas Global and Resurrect. So he gets Hawk Girl and a sidekick for next turn for sure. Keeps a mask. Again, he could create a sidekick on Michaela's turn. He could remove an attacking character from the field zone. Michaela gets one Green Devil Mask on its trap face. The instant war does not roll this time. But her sidekick army continues to be strong. The mask is fielded. 4 energy left to spend. With nothing in her use pile, there's not a whole lot of shenanigans that can be done with Clayface or with the Professor X Global. So I imagine we'll see a purchase here, but I don't know of what. Haven't seen this team run enough to really know. No bolts, so there won't be any Thor Global involved. I mean, could be a Kate Bishop, I suppose. Buying the last instant war and Clay facing it in on double energy. Using those double energies to use the Tabaxi Rogue Global, which forces both players to draw and prep 1 die. Lucan uses his remaining mask to create a sidekick. He's going to draw 4 more to add. Yeesh. Not the dice he was hoping for. He does get his Hawk Girl on character face as well as a sidekick, but blockers really aren't what he's worrying about currently. But having that Hawk Girl in the field when the Green Lantern comes back around essentially doubles the damage that that Green Lantern will do because it doubles the number of your Justice League mask characters. Again, Michaela's field is not really poised to deal a massive chunk of combat damage. So without those instant wars popping off, actually with Shriek blanking the Tabaxi Rogue, the game's not really going to escalate too quickly in terms of her damage output. Which leaves the door open for Lucan, but he really needs that Green Lantern next turn, plus tons of masks. I would imagine he buys at least 1 Hawk Girl this turn so that it's in his use pile for next turn. Can use the Clayface Global to pay 1 mask to create 2 masks. Maybe just prep a whole mess of dice for next turn. Use Resurrection and Atlas. Also, with Tabaxi Rogue blanked, he can draw and prep as many dice as he wants. Rerolls, gets another question mark. Pays 1 to field both of those jolly characters, which then triggers the Green Devil Mask. Ay. A full roll out again for the Green Devil mask, really paying dividends. 4 energy to remove 4 characters is pretty good. So Lucan did that first so that he could kind of plan the rest of his turn. Super smart. Someone more dice clumsy like myself may have done that in a different order and put myself in a real hole. Gonna pay a mask to Clayface in double masks and buy another Hawk Girl. Gonna pass to Michaela. I think she's hoping for as many instant war rolls here as possible now that Shriek is out of the picture. There's one. Keeps a question mark as well. Rerolls the rest. Gets a second instant war. Super huge. Going to Michaela draws 3. None of which were sidekicks, so doesn't field anymore. But Lucan takes 6 from drawing these 6 dice. I imagine Michaela only has those 3 dice in her bag, I think. We only saw one of her pulls, but it would make sense that those are the same 3 that she pulled out the second time Instant War was used. Lucan does now have a wall of 4 sidekicks. Not super helpful in terms of damage output, except that sidekicks for him equate to masks, thanks to the Billy Club Global. Once per turn on his turn, he can spin one of those to a mask side, which we know is super helpful on his team. It equates to damage and dice moved and spin down, spin ups. It's just a multifaceted energy type in terms of his team specifically. Michaela still has 3 energy to spend. She can reach for her own Shriek and Shriek Lucan's Shriek. That way Tabaxi Rogue is free to paper cut away at his life total. But things, I mean, I keep coming back to this, but Michaela being at 10 puts her in much more jeopardy than Lucan being at 11. His team is definitely able to strike for 10 in one turn. I'm not certain if Michaela's is capable of that. Atlas and Resurrection to get 2 dice into prep, which are both Green Devil masks, which would be clutch next turn, pending that there's a Green Lantern and a Atom in the field. There's the Shriek that comes to ruin Tabaxi Rogue's day, but the Atom does not roll. Noteworthy that he rolled a zillion masks, which is, we know, very good for the Atom. Shriek Tabaxi, which the token never left. Going to spin a sidekick to a mask with Billy Club. Spend 1 to field the Atom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spins is 10 damage, and that's the game. Well played to both players. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So, tons of damage there just from that last spin down, spin up. Again, hoard the masks. Didn't even need Green Lantern out there. Super great game from both players. Lucan takes it over Michaela, and we will be back with round 4 of Swiss, and then we'll move into the cut. My name is Ross from the Weekly Dice Arena. If you're enjoying the coverage, please hit one of these social media outlets or give this video a like and a comment. That would be awesome. We'll see you next time for round 4 of Swiss. It's been fun. Peace.